Mohammed Zal was proud of the fact that, I'm not sure if that's true or no, but if he says it, why would he lie? If it's published
Yeah.
in an article that they have the most amount of billionaires per square meters in a community. I've read this fact at one point for the first phase when they've launched this project, they've spent over 1 billion dirhams in the greenery.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our podcast. I'm with Omar once again, and today we'll be speaking about Al Barari. So, long time community in Dubai. Talk to me. What is Barari? Who developed it? And just a couple of facts about Al Barari.
So Barari is an old development by a person called Zal, Mohammed Zal. That's such a weird name. And I've never heard about him up until Barari, obviously. Now, Barari is such a special community. And obviously Zal Muhammad Zal is also such a special person because he didn't think of this like development as an to make money out of it as per se. I mean, obviously there is economical part of it. He would love to make money out of it, but it wasn't the main goal. The main goal was to make like a sustainable living community with a low density community also. Because if you were to think about it, Barari is like around 14.5 million square foot. Or to 16, I think, after some extensions of the plot on the right. But around 350 villas approximately. So it's not a lot of villas. It's mostly occupied by trees, by the way. And Al-Barari in Arabic means... Al-Barari is an Arabic word. So in English, it means forest or wilderness, basically. So, and it is... What it means by the name, it's filled with trees, a lot of trees, to the point where I've read this fact at one point for the first phase when they've launched this project, they've spent over 1 billion dirhams in the greenery. Can you imagine? So it's crazy. They also have their own production nurseries in here and around the world, where they even outsource trees and specific species to this community. So it's like super expensive. The greenery here is super expensive, well taken care of, and they were very particular about it. Now, going back to the concept of Barari, started out when they announced Barari, it was back in 2005. Now, it's like a family business. It's not like a developer where it's like a major commercial developer. It was him, the Zal Muhammad, his wife, and his kids all were involved in the community.
Kids?
Yeah, to somewhat extent. Like, not his youngest. I'll let you know. Because from what I know, it's sort of... One of the sons is Muhammad Zal. There is Nadia. There is Camellia. And there is Hazza. So Hazza is the youngest. Obviously, because he's so young, he wasn't involved in Barari. His wife, Leslie, which is, by the way, Zal is from the UAE. He's Emirati. His wife's from the UK. So Leslie created this company called Extra, etc. I don't know how it's pronounced. Interiors. So her company was involved with the interiors of most of the developments here. I think the apartments mostly. Then his son, his oldest son, actually, I think he's the oldest son, or maybe Nadia was the elder one. But anyway, Muhammad was the CEO of the company, which is eventually obviously Barari, because this was the only development at that time. Nadia was like, she was also the CEO of before Muhammad and Barari. However, she created her own company. Later on, I'll speak about that, what she created later. But she's, by the way, she's super successful, and she was even in the Forbes list as the most influential or the most strongest businesswoman.
Wow.
Amongst like several in the Middle East. So Nadia Zal is like a top entrepreneur. And then there is Camellia. Camellia was involved with the landscaping. So she was involved with the
trees and the sourcing of the...
Exactly. Of the Barari greenery, basically. And Hazza was the youngest. I don't think he got involved because obviously it's an old community, and
He
by
was
that
so
time he
young.
was so young. Exactly. So it's like you could say it's like a family business. All of them were, and to the point where it's like it's their community, to the point where, like, I mean, yes, they sold plots and villas and townhouses and apartments and so on, but they also live in that community. So they have a big villa over here too. So it's like they, what's that saying? They,
It's like their baby.
no. Yes, it's like it's their baby,
Yeah.
but it's like I forgot the statement. But anyway, it's like they're so proud of it to the point where they live in it. So it's not like something like,
Ah.
oh, I built this and I sold this and let's move on. Business, basically. No, like the concept of it was to make it like a proper neighborhood where people are involved with each other. You know the neighbors. Even I've seen an interview a long time ago from Zal, the father, that. He compared it to, let's say, for example, at that time Jumeirah, for example, the villas in Jumeirah. There's not a lot of greenery. There is no walk past. You don't know your neighbor. So he wasn't fond of that. So he wanted to create something that, like, the neighbors are involved with each other. There is obviously there are community facilities and so on. There is restaurants, farm, one of the most famous restaurants, I would say, in Dubai also. And I mean that's Barari.
So it's like
14
he built a community for himself, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, also I remember reading a newsletter long time ago when he mentioned this idea, this concept back then to his, I think to his finance consultants or bankers or something like that. They told him that you're crazy of, like, making this big. I wouldn't say
Community.
it's not a big community. It's like on this major plot, and you're going to build only like 350 villas. That's not. It doesn't make any economical sense, basically, because for 10 million square foot you can build a lot of villas, by the way. But 70% of it is occupied by trees, greenery. So only 30% is occupied by either the buildings or any structure, basically, the buildings or the villas. So it's crazy. I mean, obviously they're not cheap. I mean,
What are the prices? Let's
I
get
mean-
into it.
I mean,
What is
I'm-
in it, first of all?
okay, so there is three types of apartment residential complexes, which is a jar neighborhood. There's a third one I forgot that. That's so embarrassing. If it pops up in my mind, a jar neighborhood and I
The
forgot.
nest?
No, not the nest. The nest was part of, like, plots and villas on the side. Anyway, there was the residents, which were split into several clusters in these circles that you can see. They were all given different names: Jasmine Leaf 1, Desert Leaf 1, Desert Leaf 2, and so on. Jasmine Leaf 1, and so on. Obviously, big villas, like around 8,000 to 14,000 square feet built up around that. So it's big villas, not small villas. That was at first. Now, later on came plots. Later on came townhouses like Exora. Later on came semi-detached villas like Corizia, and also Lunaria, which is like also like independent villas. Now, some of them had lagoons. Corizia had lagoons. I mean, they are handing over right now, or they've handed over, because Corizia were two phases. Now, crazy, I mean, very decent size. Not decent, they were big sizes compared to other semi-detached villas in the market. 6,000, around 6,200, 6,300 built up square foot.
Wow.
So it's not that small. Exora, even though it was split into like G plus 3, but it was still big for a townhouse. Even the concept of it was, now I would say the concept of Exora, the townhouses, was done in a way to make up economically for the sizes taken from the villas, because now they've built it upwards. Now there's so little plot left, I mean, that you can build on. So they started to build upwards. So even Crazy is G plus 2, Exoro is G plus 3. So they're building it upwards. Yes, it's big sizes, but they've built it upwards in order to make more money on the price, because it's calculated price per square foot.
Yeah.
So it's on the square footage, you make more money. obviously. So it's built upwards. I mean, so yeah, I mean that's the brief on Barari. I could go into more details. Now, apartments are not cheap also over here also, and they're very special because they're very spacious, unlike other.
Do you know square footage on top of
Yeah, I
your
mean,
head?
like the one bedroom range from 1,200 to 1,450. I've seen. I think I remember seeing a 1,450 square foot for a one bed. They're very well sized. I mean, they do have terraces and stuff, but it's still a big apartment. Two bedroom also very spacious, and so the average price per square foot over there is, I mean, right now it's around 1,950. Now, obviously, if it's upgraded, it would be more.
Yeah.
It could go up to 2,000, 2,300 dirham per square foot. I mean, yeah, I mean, and the Corizia, for example, went up in price. Exora went up in price. Exora was asking at first 4.2 million original
Wow.
price, and now they've gone up to, right now they're trading the market for almost 8 million.
Double. 100% basically.
Almost double, yes. So, I mean, I do know that owners were asking 8 million. I remember the few transactions like almost hit 7 million, but still didn't hand over. So I'm 1000% sure by handover to reach 8 million. Now, I don't know if there were recent transactions at 8 million or not. However, people made money regardless of whatever that number was. If it's either 7 or 7.5 mil, the max, the highest transaction, but still people made a lot of money. Crazy also the same. Lunaria, a lot of money made in that too. I think the original price on them was around 24, 23 million. Now they're crossing 30, and it's still. I mean, there's a shovel over there, but it's not like it is handing over also. But they're not transacting widely, Lunaria, because there's not much inventory. There's not a lot of Lunarias available anyway.
Yeah.
Not only for sale, but the inventory of it literally is not a lot. I think they're altogether between 40 to 60 villas, something like that.
So
I'm not
that's
sure.
really small. Yeah.
Exactly. So if one person decides to sell, he's gonna sell for a wow price. Now, obviously, it needs to be reasonably priced because now I could ask for so much up until I look into something bigger in size. But people will pay to live in Barari. And at one point, also, like Muhammad Zal was like proud of the fact that, I'm not sure if that's true or no, but if he says it, why would he lie? If it's published
Yeah.
in an article that they have the most amount of billionaires per square meters in a community. Now,
Is that true?
I mean, I don't know, but it would make sense to be honest. But they're super private. I mean, the owners over there are not so well known. Who are the people living there? I mean, obviously, people can find out eventually, but obviously, the top people over there are not well known, and they're very connected with Muhammad Zal and Zal himself. So.
Why do you think that? Why do you think all the billionaires or millionaires, why do you think they moved to Barari?
I mean, because the concept of it, there's nothing like this in Dubai. The greenery, it's like you're living in a forest. I mean, if anyone goes to Barari, it's like, whoa, how is this in Dubai? So obviously, if you, like a client, for example, or someone is looking for a villa, a nice villa, a big villa, let's say 10,000 square foot plus built up, and then a person takes him to, or an Asian basically takes him to Barari, and he visits the area, he'll fall in love. I've never seen someone. I mean, the only complaint maybe would be like
Bugs?
no. I mean, they take care of. I mean, I didn't hear people complaining about mosquito bites and stuff like that. Because at one point, I remember speaking to a couple of owners over here because I was looking for a villa a long time ago. That was like 2 years ago for a property in Barari for a client, and like the people are so happy in Barari. So it's and it's also mostly end users. So there's not a lot of transactions. I mean, if you were to say like 2023, the full year of transactions, the number was around 1.2 or 1.4 billion dirhams in transactions. That's not a lot, by the way, if you compare to other areas within the similar size, let's say Jumeirah Gulf Estates. But Jumeirah Gulf Estate still has more villas, to be honest. But it's more transacting because it was around 2.4 billion. So that's 1 billion more. Plus, the transactions over here are high. So not in
Not in transaction number, but the value of the
and
transactions.
not in volume, in the value exactly. Recently, there has been new launches, Altisma, which are big villas, 40 mil plus. And even by Alsop and Alsop, they've taken exclusive of 9 villas. super luxury, very what's the word I'm looking for, like Japanese zen type of. They've used a lot of wood in it. And I mean, interior wise, obviously the exterior is amazing. The cladding is so, it looks like a minimalistic style villa, or you could say kind of mansion. I mean, the square footage was between around 14,000 15,000 built up.
That is a mansion, is it
I
not?
mean, nah, a mansion could be more than that, maybe. I mean, what about the 30,000, 35,000 square feet plus? What would we call that extra big mansion then? But I would say, let's say big villas, but they were super luxury, and it's the designs of it is, it's not something that you'd see in the Dubai market a lot. It's so zen. The quality and the finishings is very chic. There were only 9 villas. It was called Amaya, I remember, and each one was selling for around. I mean, the first one that got sold was 75 million. Now I don't know the details on that because it was exclusively sold by Alspan. I don't think they're all sold out, the 9 villas, but the first one that transacted was 75 million. So I'm sure the rest will ask I mean, they will still continue selling it at 75 or even ask a little bit more. Depends on the demand also.
Yeah.
But I don't think they all sold out because they're very picky also. Like, I mean, who would buy 75 million
Villas in the first place.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of high net worth individuals that are interested in Barari, but it's not so widely marketed, Amaya. Like, there's a lot of people or high net worth individuals in Dubai that do not know Amaya.
Or
And
Barari in general. I feel like Barari isn't marketed at all.
You
It's
know
like
what?
if you know, you know.
Yes,
type
exactly. That
community.
too. And obviously people talk. So obviously they would know what Barari is. Oh, what's this community everyone's talking about, like forest living type of community. But here's another thing. The location is, I mean, for 75 million you can get something way closer. Like for example, Dubai Hills. It's on the other side. Now, here's the thing. The location of this is not far, but the accessibility is kind of an issue because it's in the middle of Mohammed bin Zayed Highway. So in order to get to the city, there's no highway crossing all the way to Sheikh Zayed Road or to, let's say, wherever you're going, to the middle of the city. You'll have to go across Mohammed bin Zayed going to Abu Dhabi and then take Suqeim exit,
Oh.
which can be like... not convenient, but people live here for a reason. I mean, they
The
don't
drive
mind.
is worth it.
Yeah, they don't mind the location. I mean, what, it's extra 10 minutes drive than other locations, and plus it's very secluded. And now in front of it on that side, obviously it's desert up until Dubai Hills and Nad Al Shib and all that. So it's overlooking. It's part of, you could say that the one we spoke about, the plot of
Dubai Hills, that big
Hadaq
plot.
Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid.
Yeah.
So it is considered part of that because in front of it is Nad Al Shiba Nature Reserve, which I told you it belongs to the royal family of
Yeah.
Dubai. So yeah, I mean, also they have clear views of the full Dubai skyline in front of them, which is also amazing.
So it's one of those communities where, if I'm understanding correctly, just a lot of high net worth individuals that move in
Yes.
and they're just like, let me stay here. I don't mind the inconvenience of driving
Exactly,
15
because
to 20 minutes.
because who would buy besides investment? Who would buy a big apartment? Let's say, for example, in one of these buildings, Ashjar or neighborhood. Our neighborhood was quite smaller in size than Ashjar and the other building, which I forgot the name of it. I don't know. It needs to pop in my head. Like the sizes for the one beds, I think it was around 2.5 to 2.8 million, around that. So it's not cheap. The 2 beds crossing 3 million, 3 beds crossing 6 million. Some of them even transact, I think, at 7.5 and 8 million. So it's not cheap. So whoever buys an apartment for that price in this area is not
necessarily looking for an investment.
not only that, but is not cheap. Maybe is the word, or is not being is not looking for something affordable. Basically, it could be I wouldn't say a high net worth individual as per se, but someone who's buying a 3-bedroom apartment in here for 8 million, he could buy it in downtown for that price. But
He wants a peace of mind.
he chose this place, exactly. So he chose this place. So it means it could be an extra apartment, whatever the case is. But and by the way, there's also some owners that bought for their kids apartments in those buildings. So they love the area to that point.
where they don't
where-
want to move
exactly.
at all.
So yeah, and Muhammad Zal, the son,
Yeah.
he created another company called KOA. I don't know if it's a word or just like an abbreviation for something. KOA, let's say we call it
KOA.
KOA. He took a small plot around 200,000 square foot, just across Barari, in between Living Legends and Barari. So Living Legends is another community. A small plot where he created like a sustainable looking like building with only I think around 41 or 44 apartments. Very chic. Also, the sizes were good. Very zen looking villas, because he's the one who also overlooked the designs of Amaya, the one I told you about, where
The
it looks so
75
minimalistic.
million.
So it looks kind of the same. The finishes is so obvious. Like a person was dedicated to this. Like whoever the designer was. Obviously, Mohammed Zal like chose that person, the architect or the designing company or whatever it is. But they were very picky about what they. Even there was, in that same article that I've read 2 weeks ago, they've mentioned that like the parquets for the wood, basically either if the wood flooring, it could be 30 dirhams per maybe square foot or something like that. But they take it from Austria, which is expensive, obviously.
Yeah.
They're very detailed to that point. Like they pick the material themselves. So I mean, yeah,
It's almost like a passion project.
it
feels
is
like
a passion project. It is a passion project. I mean, there is nothing like this in the market. I mean, there are other communities that are. I mean, they have mentioned that they will come up with this same concept. Like recently, Shoba Elwood, beside the valley by Amar on Dubai Line Road. There is. I mean,
Woods.
Ghaf Woods, yeah, but that's only apartments. There's no villas.
Yeah.
But let's see. I mean, if it will turn out something, now that will be competition for Barari. Will Barari stay the top community or the only community with this
The
greenery,
forest living 5-10 years
forest
down
living,
the line.
or will there be other communities? So that will be very interesting
It's
to
not
see.
being dethroned, man. I don't think Barari is being dethroned.
You never
man.
know. I mean, by age. I mean, besides the new villas, the residence villas, these clusters you see are quite old. So the designs are very picky. Now, obviously, if you think about it, really, if you really think about it, it's not only the greenery. It's also, like I said, the neighborhood. Like the design of the neighborhood itself, where people are involved with each other, the neighbors themselves. Can it be created in another community? I mean, yes, you can put all the greenery and stuff like that, but if it is like investors heavily invested into that community, then it's transacting. Like whenever there is a lot of investors in the community, the area is always transacting.
Yeah, new owners, new faces, new people.
New
never
owners
get to
or new
feel.
investors, or there is tenants moving in and out, and so there is nothing special as in like creating this neighborhood feeling where you know your neighbors. Your neighbor
Yeah.
could be changing every 2-3 years maybe, and that's not the case here so much in Barari, where like your neighbors are your neighbor for a while.
10,
I mean, yes,
20
it's
years.
transacting. There are transactions happening. However, most of the neighbors are around, so it's not like they all change in 2-3 years span.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I mean, I don't know if I missed something else, like information wise in Barari.
But I think we should just wrap up. I think that's it for Barari.
Yeah.
One of the most special communities in Dubai. So
Yeah.
thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on another episode.